Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Clayton. I just got back from seeing Life of the Party, starring Melissa McCarthy and directed by Ben Falcone. Now, if you know the Melissa McCarthy comedy formula, you know that she's usually typecasted as the butt of the joke, and she has ranged from movies that are pretty good to just okay to being downright awful. And Life of the Party seems fairly typical of those type of comedies. This isn't the worst comedy she's been in, but it's definitely one of the most unmemorable and predictable. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story is that Melissa McCarthy plays a middle-aged mom who just sent off her daughter to her last year of college, and turns out she needs to finish her last year of college as well. So she enrolls in the exact same university that her daughter is going to, and you can pretty much tell where the story is going to go from there. I won't spoil anything, but basically, if you've seen any college movies with this type of setup, you know exactly what's going to happen, and it hits almost every single one of those same story beats with almost no variation whatsoever. So the story itself is one that you can see coming from a mile away, and it doesn't really have any unique things to it at all. Almost every single plot point that you think is going to happen will happen, and you might say, well, that's fine. We mainly come to Melissa McCarthy movies so she can make us laugh. So, is this a funny movie? It's not really. I will admit a few jokes in the movie did make me chuckle, but that was more out of her performance rather than the writing. The writing in the movie is usually either too predictable or plays things a little too safe to legitimately be funny. Now, I usually have a problem with Melissa McCarthy's jokes that try to, cross the line twice in a way that's trying to be funny. Sometimes it's just not funny at all, but in this case it feels like she's almost too afraid to offend anyone to really make humor happen. And anyone who knows good humor knows that a lot of good humor relies on misery. Somewhere in the mix, someone has to suffer or be a little uncomfortable to get a really good comedic moment out of you. And, get a laugh out of you. And there's not a lot of moments like that in this film. I will say that it really looks like McCarthy and her co-star Maya Rudolph are really trying their hardest to make a lot of these jokes work, but it's just none of them ultimately do. Now, it is true that this film is directed by Ben Falcone, who also directed other Melissa McCarthy movies, such as The Boss and Tammy, and it just seems like they're hitting the same notes as those films, trying to go for a lot of jokes that attempt to be humorous but really are not that funny, and trying to make a film that's uplifting when really it feels like these emotions aren't totally earned. That's not to say this is a terrible film, considering that, like I said, there are a few jokes that legitimately did make me laugh. There are some nice moments thrown in throughout, and for a Mother's Day surprise, this film isn't the worst option for you. But if you want to see a legitimately funny comedy featuring an actress who clearly has a lot of talent, this really isn't it. I give Life of the Party a 4 out of 10. See you next time.